Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Fearless Floyd Show. As always, it's me, and thank God it's Friday for some people, and then again, some people, damn, Friday's already here again. I know it seems like time is flying faster than you can shake a stick at it, right? It's insane. I don't know what's going on. Every time I turn around, it's Friday again. It's Friday. It's Friday. And remember how we used to just couldn't wait till Friday when we were growing up? Now we're like, damn, it's already here again. Well, it has been an eventful day for me. Uh, I've been having technical difficulties and just it cascades. So I've been dealing with StreamYard and Rumble. Neither one of them you can talk to anybody on the phone. It's all by email or text or chat, or it's a dead end. So my morning dealt with 3 hours of that nonsense back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and pretty much stressed me out to the point I was actually nauseous. It stressed me out so bad, so I had just lay everything down and just go chill. So I ate a one of my prescription gummies, so I'm a little de-stressed, and I don't like to take them all the time because I don't like the way they make me feel. But I don't know how you guys feel about this, but I know how I feel about it because I have to deal with it on a daily basis. And that is the fact dealing with these nameless, faceless corporations, companies that only allow you to. Hello,
Hello, is Floyd there?
this is him.
Floyd, this is Neil Matthews. I'm a travel host here in Las Vegas, Nevada. How are you today?
I'm doing great. I'm right in the middle of a live show.
Oh, gosh, sorry, buddy. Do you think you might be considering visiting us here in the next 2 years?
Possibly. Give me a call back.
I
Thanks.
will. Yes, sir.
All right, where was I at? Oh, yeah, I was turning that off. Um, that the only way you can get customer service is through a chat or emailing back and forth. And I find that inadequate and downright un American. The kids may like all that bullshit, but when you want something fixed, you should be able to just, because this is what you're paying for. You should be able to pick up a phone, say, hey, look, I got a problem. Can you walk me through this? And boom, 5, 10 minutes later, your shit's solved. Here we going on, a week later, and I'm still having issues somewhere down the line, all because of one thing. And that's the reason I left Zoom and went to StreamYard because of Zoom's customer service was so shitty. Now I get over here to StreamYard, and StreamYard is just as shitty. And the reason I went to StreamYard is because when I went to subscribe for it, man, those fuckers called me back like that. I had somebody on the phone. Then when it comes to customer service, not so much. Actually, not at all. So I try to shed myself of companies that want to utilize that. It's like Lyft. Lyft used to use illegal immigrants to drive as drivers. I don't know if they do anymore, but I know they did in the past. And when I was, had no transportation, couldn't move around because of my car accident. I was taking Lyfts and Ubers everywhere. And when your damn driver can't speak English, can't read English, and has no way to communicate with you, and they're at the wrong address, and you can't tell them because they don't speak English, you can't do a third party communication. So they charged me one time for that. I was like, oh well, guess what? No, 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 you'll never do that again. So I never used Lyft. Lyft is. I just quit using them. I used Uber from then on. And I'm that way for all these companies. I cannot stand these big companies who want to hide and, their CEOs don't answer you, blah, 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 blah. So it's us to make that change. And only we can do it. So I'm boycotting those companies. You can do whatever you want to do. I do. Remember, I told you guys, man, I have no idea what I'm going to talk about tomorrow, right? That's not the right one. Here we go. Some of you know that once upon a time, I used to litigate in the courts. Once upon a time. And this little gem, back that shit up. This was filed July 25th, 2006 in the U.S. District Court, Southern District of Texas, Houston Division. And as you see, Floyd P. Tarvin the fourth. And this is my informal papyrus application. And, oh, by the way, all that's typed. Okay. I typed all that shit. And this is a 31-page complaint, as you see, with the informal papyrus. And I told you folks, man, I did not play when I was in prison. Here's the Texas Board of Criminal Justice. I sued the whole fucking board. The executive director, the regional director, another director, region 1 director, my senior warden. Now comes plaintiff Floyd P. Tarvin IV, TDCJ number 011236559, pro se, prisoner in the custody and control of the Texas Department of Criminal Justice Correctional Institution Division, Texas CID, at the John M. Wynn Unit in Huntsville, Texas, Walker County, and brings his first complaint under Title 42, United States Code, Section 1983, pursuant to Rule 15, Federal Rules of Civil Procedure, on his own behalf and on behalf of all those similarly situated Wynn Unit offenders seeking preliminary and permanent injunction to declaratory relief and where pleaded monetary damages for his causes of action against defendants, avers the following. Introduction to the complaint. This complaint is brought by plaintiff on his own behalf and on behalf of those similarly situated Wynn Unit offenders seeking preliminary coming under Title 42, 1983, and 2000 CC-1A for violation of his guaranteed rights under the 1st, 5th, 8th, 9th, 14th Amendments to the United States Constitution, Religious Land Use and Institutionalized Persons Act of 2000, Section 3A, 13, 19, 27. Oh, that's Texas Constitution. Customary international law, and under Article 1, Section 6, 8, 13, 19, 27, and 29 to the Texas Constitution. As soon as I saw those, I knew that was the Texas Constitution. Number 2, plaintiff alleges the defendants knowingly subjecting him and other Wynn Unit prisoners similarly situated to barbaric, degrading, and inhumane conditions, which wantonly inflict unnecessary pain and suffering that constitutes cruel and unusual punishment, violation of the 1st, 5th, 8th, 9th, 14th Amendments to the United States Constitution. We already went through all that. But basically what we're getting down to, they affected my rights by enacting and enforcing highly restrictive telephone policy that is facially and as applied is unconstitutionally overbroad, vague, explicitly and implicitly usurps, curtails, and disregards his rights to communicate with his family, friends, and loved ones. I didn't have any, but legal counsel and religious counselor, I didn't have too many of those either, or ministers without legitimate penological justification. So anyway, what this case was about, and as you see from the date, 2006, let me explain to you what the hell was going on in the Texas Department of Criminal Justice in 2006. In 2006, okay, the state of Texas, the state of Texas. This doesn't include all the counties in Texas. This doesn't include all the city jails in Texas. It doesn't even include all the states in North America, Canada, Mexico. Texas, out of everything I just mentioned, was the very last entity, okay? The very last entity in North America to install collect telephones in the cell blocks and dormitories of their prison units. Up until around this time, and I'll be specific and give you all that too here in a minute. The only phone call you could get is if you were on good behavior for 6 months, and then you got a 5-minute phone call sitting in an office with another TDCJ officer on the extension listening to your phone call that you're having with your family, friend, or relative. And then you got another one in 6 months if you're good. The last entity in North America, Mexico, Canada, every other state, every other county, every other city. Oh, well. So, my old buddy, who you often hear me talk about, Alan Wade Johnson over on the Wind Unit, he's the one who originally filed that. So, I tried to join his suit. They said, file your own. Okay, I did. Well, folks, that case, get over here to it. This case right here, this was dismissed for failure to state a claim for which relief may be granted under Rule 12b-6 and filed as frivolous and malicious. And this one was adjudicated by Magistrate Judge Kenneth Hoyt, who I believe now is a U.S. District Judge. Okay? But my point being, let's see if I can go back. Yeah. Let's keep going. There you go. There's a layout. Here are all the instruments. So here's the docket sheet. Final judgment. Case terminated. Here. Judge Keith P. Ellison. Memorandum opinion order on dismissal. This lawsuit is dismissed with prejudice as frivolous and for failure to state a claim. Any and all pending motions are denied as moot. The clerk is to provide a copy of this order to TDCJ General Counsel, Clerk Court East District, Tyler. And you want to know what happened while that case was almost in finalization? The dang state of Texas just, man, I tell you what, we broke them. They just like acquiesce and go, oh my God, these guys filed a lawsuit, so we got to install telephones. Well, yeah, actually, they went in, Texas legislature, passed a bill, and they gave us collect telephones. Even though that corrupt, fraudulent, treasonous, traitorous judge, I just showed you, Keith Ellison, I failed to state a claim. Wonder how that worked. Well, have you ever done that before, Floyd? Let's go look. Let's go look. What is this? I'll get to that in a minute. Let me get up here. I was perusing. Here we go. When was this filed? August 18th, 2006 in the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of Texas, Houston Division. And again, all this is typed out, folks. This was a typewriter, as you can tell. So again, here I come back with another Title 42, United States Code, Section 1983. And this is basically blah, 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 blah. Same thing. Almost the same boilerplate. Yeah, they're treating us like shit. Blah, blah, blah. Plaintiff alleges the defendants knowingly subjected him and other Win Unit prisoners similarly situated to barbaric, degrading, and inhumane conditions which wantonly inflict unnecessary pain and suffering that constitutes cruel and unusual punishment in violation of the 5th, 8th, 9th, and 14th Amendments to the United States Constitution, in violation of customary international law, and also in violation of Article 1, Sections 6, 8, 13, 19, 27, and 29 of the Texas Constitution. Okay, well, Floyd, what are you arguing about here? What's your claim, right? And here you go. Just so you all know, here's my 60-year sentence that I got. Plaintiff has and is serving a long term of confinement, 60 years. Actuating his allegations described herein are totally without penological justification, which has and continues to result in the gratuitous infliction of necessary pain and suffering. That which offends human dignity was not part of the penalty that criminal offenders pay for their offenses against society. Plaintiff reasonably expects retaliation for this complaint and in part reasonably expects to be transferred from the Win Unit in an attempt by defendants to moot injunctive and declaratory relief sought that he would be transferred back or released and reincarcerated here. The constitutional and customary international law violations described herein are easily capable of repetition and probably of future consequences to plaintiff, and those similarly situated Win Unit offenders are great. So here's the body of the defendants, Texas Board of Criminal Justice. There's Brad Livingston, the ED, Doug Drecke, the Division Director, Rick Thaler, Region 1 Director. Here's the another director, Robert Treon, Region 1 Director, my senior warden, Pacifica. And here we go. Plaintiff has exhausted his Step 1 and Step 2 administrative remedies in accordance with Title 42, United States Code, Section 1997E, Prison Litigation Reform Act, fondly known as the PLRA, which I think this was written by Gingrich during the Clinton administration, and oh my God. Why, if you get a disciplinary infraction in the state of Texas, that you got to go to a federal court to get relief? That makes absolutely zero sense, but hey, that's what they do. All right, due to the TDCJ CID, John M. Win Unit Senior Warden stipulation that offenders cannot use a photocopier, the double-sided grievance form, Step 1 and Step 2, are not attached. However, they are available should they be required by the court. What do you mean I don't have access to a copier? The frickin' Attorney General has access to a copier. How is that the fair administration of meaningful access to the courts and due process? Oh, it isn't. Okay. Here's some interested parties, blah, 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 blah. Here we go. Number 17. Okay. Now, not only am I getting down for prisoners, I'm getting down for state employees. Number 17, Texas Department of Criminal Justice Correctional Institutions Division operates the prison system in the state of Texas and is comprised of some 114 prison facilities. It is a paramilitary organization with approximately 44,000 employees. The prison population is approximately 152,000. You heard me correctly. It's probably a little less now. Of these, some 114 prison units, which has since been reduced to roughly around 100 prison units, over 25 of these aging facilities house approximately 40,000 prisoners and range from 38 to over 100 years old. The John M. Win Unit is 122 years old, established and brought online in 1883. Plaintiff is confined at the TDCJ CID John M. Win Unit and is classified as a minimum security prisoner serving a long term of confinement, which his conviction does not place him beyond the ethical tradition that accords respect to the dignity and intrinsic worth of every human being under both Texas and United States constitutions and customary international law. 19. The conditions which defendants knowingly and deliberately subject plaintiff and other prisoners similarly situated are grossly inadequate living space, grossly inadequate ventilation, dangerously high ambient temperature and humidity in living areas, grossly inadequate fire and safety, grossly inadequate basic personal hygiene facilities, and excessive noise and sleep deprivation inflicts plaintiff with unnecessary intense pain and suffering, that which is repugnant to the conscience of mankind pursuant to evolving contemporary standards of decency and customary international law, and places plaintiff at a high risk of premature death from constant prolonged pain, suffering, and stress. Wow, wonder why I have PTSD. 20. The unlawful conditions of plaintiff's confinement individually or in combination subjects him to cruel and unusual punishment without penological justification, violation of his guaranteed rights under both state of Texas and United States constitutions and customary international law. Man, I used to churn these out like dime store novels. So, damn, Floyd, you were doing that, what, way back in 2006? How long ago is that? That's what? Almost 20 years ago, 2 decades. What you got, Floyd? What you got? Show us. Come on, buddy. Do it. Here we go. This is where we're at. This just came out May 16th, 2025. This is by Steve Artery, Fox 26 KRIV, Houston. Texas House passes bill requiring AC in state prisons. What? Hold on. What? Huh? Okay. The brief. House Bill 3006 would require air conditioning in all Texas prisons by 2032. The Texas Department of Criminal Justice would be required to complete the project in 3 phases. Inmate advocacy groups have argued the lack of air conditioning in prisons constitutes cruel and unusual punishment in violation of the 8th Amendment. Austin, Texas. The Texas House on Friday passed a bill that would require state prisons to have air conditioning. The bill would require the Texas Department of Criminal Justice to install air conditioning at each of its facilities by the end of 2032. The bill passed on 3rd reading Friday on a 79 to 39 vote. I wonder who the 39 idiots are. Let me go put them on the four row, top bunk, 24 cell, 36 cell. See how you like it up there for a day or two. It now heads to the Senate. House Bill 3006 would allow the TDCJ to install climate control units in 3 phases, each covering around 1/3 of the facilities they control. Each phase is expected to cost around $100 million, with the first required to be completed by December 31st, 2028. The second phase would be completed by 2030, with the remaining facilities being complete by December 31st, 2032. The bill would also prohibit the use of state funds for the project without the legislature specifically appropriating funds for the project. Temperatures inside facilities would be required to remain between 65 and 85 degrees Fahrenheit. These areas requiring temperature control are hospitals, visiting areas, housing or dormitory areas, trustee areas, areas used for medical treatment or care, including areas used for dispensing medication to inmates. That would be like the pill window. Kitchens and dining areas, that would be the food service department. Food preparation areas, same thing. Community areas, including day rooms. Laundry areas, that would be the laundry services department. Areas used for workstations. Indoor recreation areas, including gymnasiums, restroom and shower areas, and other areas related to inmate hygiene. You have to understand, some of these prison units, they really don't have indoor showers. They're actually outdoor showers. Y'all don't even know. Administrative areas, correctional officer stations, including guard post areas, commissary areas. That's where you get your little snacks and shit, your overpriced garbage. Areas used for programmatic and educational and vocational purposes, chapels or churches, libraries, and maintenance areas. Heat in prisons. Experts suggest that the lack of air conditioning in correctional facilities poses significant health and safety risks for inmates and staff because the state's extreme heat conditions. In March, a federal judge ruled that keeping Texas inmates in prison that lack air conditioning during excessive heat was unconstitutional, but would not require TDCJ to install temporary air conditioning while the pending court case played out. Forcing the prison to install temporary air conditioning units would just slow down the work of the prison system to implement a permanent solution and wouldn't provide relief any earlier, the court said. Judge Robert Pittman left the door open for the court to change its ruling on the temporary units if the TDCJ loses the case and continues to move slowly through the installation process. Well, bet your ass on that one, Judge Robert Pittman, because all you have to do is go look at the late Justice the late Judge William Wayne Justice from the Western District of Texas, who oversaw the Ruiz versus Estelle case. So, Judge Robert Pittman, kudos for you. You actually deserve to be put on a pedestal for doing the right fucking thing. Obviously, you're not corrupted. The court repeats that TDCJ's current plan to install permanent air conditioning, which on the most generous timeline would not be complete for another 25 years, is insufficient under the 8th Amendment, Pittman said in his March 26th ruling. Okay? And I'll get into some more of this. The ruling came as a group of inmate advocacy groups filed a lawsuit calling the lack of air conditioning unconstitutional, cruel, and unusual punishment. The court document estimates 95,000 inmates are housed without air conditioning in the state. The Texas Department of Criminal Justice has around 46,000 beds that are considered cool beds. Those beds are in proximity to partial or full air conditioning. Bullshit. Did I say that out loud? Only 32 of the agency's 101 units have fully air conditioning housing areas. TDCJ classifies 55 units as partially air conditioning and housing areas, but those units have fewer than 10 cool beds. Did you hear me? 10 cool beds out of 55 units. And these units go anywhere from, I'd say 1,000 on average, up to 5,000 bunks. Heat-related deaths in prison. A November 2022 study by researchers at Brown, Boston, and Harvard universities found that 13%, or 271 of the deaths in Texas prison without universal air conditioning between 2001 and 2019 may be attributed to extreme heat. So the judge who fucked us over on our lawsuits, guess what, bro? Those are 271 deaths that are on your head, and I'm fixing to point you out. Prisoner advocates say those numbers are only likely to increase as the state faces more extreme weather and heat due to climate change. Experts testified last summer that the heat index values at or above 88 degrees Fahrenheit can lead to conditions like heat exhaustion, dehydration, and heat stroke, even in young, healthy inmates. Even beyond heat-related injuries, heat can also lead to heart attacks, kidney failure, and increased risk of suicide, court documents state. During an earlier hearing, climate experts testified that summers were getting hotter in Texas and expected to continue climbing. The source: information on House Bill 3006 comes from the Texas Legislature and the House Research Organization. Information on heat in prisons and a pending lawsuit comes from the court documents filed March 26, Western District of Texas. There you go. So we're going to go over here. We're going to go look at this serial killer, because that's basically what he is. He's a serial killer. Is it Ellison on this one? Yep. Ellison, for sure. Oh, no. That's the telephones. Yeah, here we go. I'm going to get you over here. I'll get right with you, Raymond. I'm telling you guys, the divinity just falls in my lap every day. Kenneth Hoyt, there you go. In Worland, this is who had this judge had Alan Wade Johnson's case. See, case in other court. That's the one I tried to join. Filed a motion to adjoin, was denied. Told to file my own lawsuit, so I did. It was assigned to Magistrate Judge Kenneth M. Hoyt, who has at least 271 murders to his credit. So there you go. The case was filed almost 2 decades ago. And what happened to it? Here you go. Case terminated, signed by Kenneth Hoyt. Final judgment, signed by Kenneth Hoyt. I appealed it to the Fifth Circuit U.S. Court of Appeals. Yeah. I took it as far as you could take it. And they basically slam dunked me. So let's go look over here at this final judgment. For reasons set out in the court's memorandum and order of even date, this case is dismissed with prejudice as frivolous and malicious. There's your serial killer, folks. These people prey upon killing people. I don't know if they worship death. I don't know if they're satanic. But I've just showed you 100% fact, proof, evidence of fraud, corruption, criminal activity. That guy's a serial killer. He needs to be fucking behind bars. He needs to go to the same place where I met David Owen Brooks, another one of the state's most prolific serial killers. We lived in the same dorm, worked together. We're in the craft shop together. Yeah, go look up David Owen Brooks. 27 confirmed kills, and there's still some unknowns in that pile of bones they were digging through. So, when I tell you folks, okay, I've been through the ringer with these morons on every freaking level that you can possibly deal with these people. I've risked my life, my freedom on the win unit because I was so prolific, so active in the courts. Okay. They tried to get a federal Senate stacked on top of my state Senate. When I was doing all the redemption process stuff, that's when they called the Secret Service, the IRS, the FBI, and the U.S. Postal Inspector to come inspect my stuff. For 30 days, they bounced me around in pre-hearing detention until I had my hearing 2 weeks later. And then I got a meeting with the assistant warden. He said, Tarvin, I don't know what y'all are doing, but you're not going to do it on my unit. And I was like, cool. Can I go pack my shit and get the fuck off this unit? I've done my time here. I'm ready to go the fuck someplace else. And the only reason I was stayed there, because I was ready to transfer off. I was always hopeful. I'm like, man, I'm only 90 miles from Houston. So, my friend's family come see me. I'm like 2 hours from my daughter. And of course, my daughter's mom refused to bring my daughter to see me for 14 years. So everything was taken away from me. And then I had to deal with bullshit like this while I was in prison. When you expect the courts to do the right thing, the humane thing, and they don't. And they do this over and over and over and over with everything that you got. They did it with telephones. They did it with the climate control. They did it with housing because in the state, in Texas, okay, in the city of Burleson, okay, up by Fort Worth, it's illegal to house a dog in a pen less than 2 pounds or 2 square feet per pound of the dog. Huh? And you put 2 adult males in a 9x5 cell? Yeah, it's illegal in Austin to tether a dog outside, leave it unassisted. But you're going to put 2 potentially vicious people in a cell together? and expect them to get along. This is what they do. This is the whole ass shit they do. This is the whole ass shit I experienced over and over and over and over. These fucking judges in Travis County, same fucking thing. These justices in the Court of Appeals for the state of Texas, same thing. Texas Court of Criminal Appeals, Texas Supreme Court. Well, when I was litigating for all this shit, well, guess who the Attorney General was? To quote the dumbest politician in the world, Jasmine Crockett, Mr. Hot Wheels. And watch that punk ass watch him sign that bill into law. Okay. Now, that judge is getting ready to oversee TDCJ for the next 20 years because the Wayne unit was built in 1883. It's a combination of two buildings. We have the new building and the old building, and this is what TDCJ loves to do. They love to take these red brick buildings that were built in the 1800s, okay? Like 1845 was the first territorial prison in Huntsville, Texas. The Walls, which is now called the Huntsville unit, okay? Then they built all these other units in the 1880s. They went on this little boom, construction boom. Why did they have to go on a construction boom? They needed somebody to run the fucking plantations. They needed slaves. So they just started buying up plantations. Mm-hmm. And they called them state farms. Yeah. And they brought all the slaves back. Those unruly ones. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And they weren't built for air conditioning. Even though when they did the second build in the 1930s, there was commercial air conditioning available and they didn't install it. Then they went through another prison building boom in the 60s, then again in the 80s and 90s. And then they started buying retired Air Force bases and military bases and using those as prisons units. So I've been on every single type of facility that TDCJ has. I've been in new buildings, old buildings, the oldest of the old buildings, the Walls, the newest of the new, LeBlanc, Beaumont, that's one. And it's going to take forever. Ever. They got to install new windows because the window system they have, so they got to pull all the windows, replace all the windows. They already have ducting in most of the units, so they got to all do that. They're probably going to put in swamp coolers, not real air conditioning. But let me show you. Okay, I filed that lawsuit. Not only did I file it for the offenders, but also obviously for the state employees, like I labeled, right? So I'm actually getting down for those fuckers. And you know what they're doing? They're retaliating against me. Yeah. I'm getting down for them too. That's the bullshit I went through. Okay. That's why I don't take no shit off nobody. That's why I'm fully 100% open and transparent about everything that I've ever done. I take full responsibility for everything I've done. And I've done some shitty stuff. And I've done some really honorable things. So when I tell you folks, and I give you a little legal guidance and not advice, you should probably listen to it very carefully because I'm telling you from my vast experience dealing with every fucking court between Houston, Harris County, Texas to Washington, D-fucking-C. Yep. I told you folks at one time, okay? This is like, okay, today I've got Harris County Criminal Court Law number 8, 351st Judicial District Court, Harris County, Texas. First Court of Appeals, 14th Court of Appeals, Texas Court of Criminal Appeals, Texas Supreme Court, U.S. District Court for the Southern District of Texas, Houston Division, 5th Circuit U.S. Court of Appeals, United States Supreme Court. I had litigation, different litigation in all those courts at the same time. And not only that, I had other shit going on and I was doing stuff for other people. I was running a fucking law firm in a jail cell with a man above me by myself. I told you to emulate what I did out here like I did in there, it's virtually impossible. I was so focused, just lasered in for 12 years. All I did, live, breathe, sleep, shit, piss, eat, spit, vomit, law. I was fighting my case, but I was like, man, why can't we have better conditions? Why has it got to be this way? You know, it's not only me suffering, you're suffering. You work here. You get paid to work here. You can't go get a better job where they have AC? That's why they gave me the name Fearless Floyd. Michael Wayman Wilson gave me that. You can go look him up. He's still in TDCJ. I profiled him on my show. He'd reach over to the bunk. Floyd, they're going to make you disappear, man. You know you don't get no visits. Family, you know, they make you disappear like that. They'll handcuff you and kick you off the third floor stairs. Say you fell. Yeah. That's why I had to do a caveat in every litigation that I filed. Hey, I expect retaliation. So if something happens to me, you were forewarned. He's like, man, you're fearless, dude. Okay. I'm just don't even really care. All I care about is winning. That's all I want to do is win, 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 win. I didn't care what it take. I didn't even care the case anymore, okay? Because they weren't letting me win. Because I would have changed big things, major things. That's why they went and changed the health and safety code. The health and safety code. Yeah, they changed that law behind me. Why? Because it would have opened the door for 70,000 plus addicts to be able to get bench warranted back to their county for chemical dependency treatment. Because when you're in TDCJ, guess what? You do not get chemical dependency treatment no matter fucking what. Doesn't matter how long your sentence is, doesn't matter how long you're there until you're granted parole, and then you're put in a program by the Texas Board of Criminal Justice. How the fuck does that work? Go do your time, go do this penance. We're not going to rehabilitate you till, whenever. We'll get to you. Yeah, so what? It took 14 years to get you treatment. Who gives a fuck? That's how the system works, folks. Yeah, I sued the board for that too. Just go look me up. Look up all my litigation. And you will see just case after fucking case after case after case after case after case after case after case with my name on it. Then you got to see all the shit that I did for other people. That's why I didn't leave the win unit, because I was doing shit for other people and I didn't trust, like, go here, will you do this for this guy? That wasn't me. That just wasn't who I was. That wasn't who I became in there, who I evolved to be, who I carried that sterling reputation with me outside from prison to the free world to make me who I am today, where I walked out and I was like, you know what, dude, you cannot go be that person that you were before you got locked up with the 60-year sentence. Otherwise, you're going to be back there doing it on the layaway plan like Bonnie Straight. Fuck that. I want off, period. That's been my main goal from day fucking one. That's why I did the redemption process. Make this shit go away. I got it. I got my case. Remanded back to the trial court for an evidentiary hearing. And the court, this is the Court of Criminal Appeals, ordered my judge to hold the hearing within 120 days. You know what my judge did? Fucking nothing. Judge Mark Kent Ellis. Yeah, who's the president of the corporation of Harris, room 351, County of Harris, that corporation that monetized the case. Yeah, we can go into all that. Yeah, I'm a little jaded, but I just wanted to show you guys, okay, the fraud and the corruption for fucking real. Okay, you're not hearing a rumor. You saw it. You saw the article. You can go look up what the Texas House is doing. And I showed you in black and white on pacer.gov. God damn, were you ahead of your time again, Floyd? I don't know. Maybe y'all should probably listen to me a little bit. I might have something genuine and authentic to say. And with that, I'm going to segue right over under our guest and bring Raymond in. Thank you, Raymond, for your patience and letting me go off on that little tirade, my little temper tantrum. Oh, the frustration. It's just been one of those days. Welcome to the show. Thank you again, sir. I know you were supposed to be at the beach today with a drink in your hand, toes in the sand, and looking at all the G strings going, damn, if I was only 20 years younger.
Well, I certainly don't think the med beds is going to let that happen.
Okay. Well, there you go.
But
Great segue. It's
there's other
Friday.
things you can do.
Yeah, it's Friday. I probably have some new viewers here. So tell everybody who you are and what you're all about. I'm going to digress on the background, go do some administration.
Well, I've been on the show quite some time now, but my name's Raymond Lee, and I'm just, you know, been on quite a bit of a journey, kind of like what Fearless Floyd there's been on. And, you know, it's a lot of times, your past, so many people, they let that past determine their future. But I made up my mind that, over the years, as I began to wake up to what was really going on, that I was not going to allow my past to determine the future. And, you know, uh, but I realized something, on the journey through life that the I've been through so many trials and tribulations, and and honestly, as I look back up on it now, I can say that that was really one of the best things that ever happened to me because it 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 helped me build my character. It opened up my eyes. It let me see who I really am, and it developed me and helped me to change into a better person. Because life is all about, I believe, is knowing our purpose, why we're here, where we're going, and to be a winner. Like Fearless Ford said, is there's losers and there's winners. But I finally made up my mind, I'm going to be a winner. And I just like to give a shout out to everybody out there and on the Fearless Floyd guest show, and let you know that Fearless Ford and myself were teaming up to see what we can do to help the people out there engage in trust and understand trust law. And we're working on putting our team together. We might even launch this probably, possibly. I don't know if he wants to do it tonight or the next few days, but we put a lot of group together. We're going to have about 4 people on the team to accommodate the people, and and move this forward. But I'd like to mention something. I think that I just want to share with the group just a few key revelations that really changed my life. And I really would like y'all to really take note of this because it's very powerful, and it revolves around trust. But I want to talk about a very simple word, um, as known as will, WILL. Well, if you look up that word will, it absolutely means sovereign. Now, when we think of will, our will is our being, the choices that we make, um, how we are will to do things, what's driving us, what's in us to get things done. But, there is 2 types of will. Um, when a lot of people think of a will, they think of what, when they die, what they leave to those that they love and they leave it behind. That's called a codicil will. That would be like if you die, where your estate, all your assets, everything goes to. It's called a codicil will. And similar, when you deal with the will, there's also a living will. And I'd like for somebody to really gather, because I know I can sense things. There's probably many on the show that are struggling along through and thinking, why ain't things changing? Why am I still in the same situation that I'm in right now? And if you will understand this word will and how to execute it, and you will move your life so much faster along, it will blow your mind. But when you're dealing with a living will, okay, you're dealing with right now, your breath, your life, your body, everything. But a living will is not just like a codicil will is what will you have when you die. It does not go into effect till you die. It's just sitting there, right? But a living will, to bring a living will into play, you must speak that will into existence. Yes. And I'm also a numbers guy. So think of there's 369, one of the most powerful three numbers on the universe. And you know, I've been kind of led down a journey. Everything you do in threes, because three is the number of breakthrough. But I want those out there to consider this. Write down what it is that you want. What are you trying to accomplish? Where are you going? And I'm just going to tell everybody, what I did many years ago. I was being attacked on every side: rogue agencies, cartel, governments. I mean, because stuff that I can't really talk about right now, you know, um, on open air about a lot of things. I just have to kind of leave it at that. But I know what it's like to suffer and go through things. But I came to a point where I just had enough, and I had to have a solution on what to do. So what I did basically, because I had people violating my rights, doing certain things. So I got a pen and I wrote down my will, what it was going to be. And I say, when I write this down, I am going to speak it into existence, into the heaven and into the earth. And I'm going to stand upon that living will. And in my will, because in some things I was taught and trained in very well, my will was anyone who violates my free will, my space, my sacred dominion, my peace, that they will immediately deny their own will for the same cause they deny me mine. I said, I've had enough. These jokers out there, these evil beings who's twice dead, plucked up by the roots, they are dead entities. I said, I will not be bothered anymore. And I mean, when I went down in my will list, I listed everything. I spoke it into existence. And I'm going to tell you, after I spoke my living will into existence and executed it, I wrote it down, which was not only a living will, it was a written will now, a written living will. And when I did that, I'm going to tell you something. I had peace, fear left off of me. It lifted off of me because I knew my we have free will. And the creator himself does not violate our free will. And after I spoke my will into existence, I'm going to tell you what, I got left alone. Everything changed in my life. And I want somebody out there just to take notice to that. You have a living will, but here's the thing. Many of you out there, you're just going with the crowd. You're just following everything around, just kind of in limbo. Well, this is the way it is. This is the way we got to do things in society. No, it's not. You are the boss of your own life. Be the boss. Be the one that says, hey, I'm different. And it made a difference in my life. I mean, it really, really did. So that living will, decide what you want. If you're sick, put a living will in place. I am not sick. I will not be sick. I will not die. I mean, I have a very good friend of mine. I was just talking to her last night, and she was in COVID. During that time frame, they literally tried to kill the poor lady. And you know what? She put her will. She said, she cried out to the creator of heaven and said, I will live. I will not die. And I'm telling you, she is stronger and back now than ever before. But you got to speak it. Just like there is the spoken word. When we talk about the spoken word, it's not just the spoken word, it's the spoken word that is the creator's will. Then you have the written word, which is the creator's will. And we are like him, and we have to go into making sure that we are the executors for our estates. And it's so important. And I did a writing. This is some time back, and I sent it into a lot of pretty high uh, political leaders, and it was called "A Chained Man or Freedom." Because my goal is, I really want to try to wake up those leaders that we have going into place, because if we get righteousness exalts a nation. And my prayers are that we would get good political leaders in place that would actually start doing the right thing. So, I actually pray for our judges, our law officers, the judicial branch, legislation bench, Congress, governors, that they would do the right thing. And because a lot of them, they're going to wake up and they're going to change. But I want to go through something that I put together on a book called Engage, um, A Chained Man or Freedom. Okay. And it's called the Rules of Engagements. Now, it's so many that I put together. And one of them is, it says, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. And we ask sometimes, what is truth? Well, I believe that truth is what's revealed to you by divine revelation. When the creator is dealing with you and shows you something, you've got to do something with it. And if you take that truth that you know is right and you operate in it, everything will change. So that's one rule of engagement. Another rule of engagement is ignorance of the law is no excuse. A lot of people, honestly, they are in prison because they're ignorance of the law. Number three, a statement not rebutted is considered to stand as fact. That means if, most people out there hopefully understand what an affidavit is, affidavit of fact and truth. Well, if you put an affidavit of fact in play, and that affidavit, if they do not rebut that, well, then that affidavit that you put out there stands as absolutely fact and truth in law. If someone defrauds you with lies, be ready to defute the falsehood, lest the lies and associated contract be allowed to stand. Another rule of engagement is, only what is pure as the creator is pure is able to be in the presence of the creator. Another rule of engagement that's very powerful: righteousness and justice are the foundation of your throne, of the king's throne. Steadfast and love and faithfulness go before you. Rule of engagement: there are courts in heaven. Basically I found that out because I would say probably about 8 years ago, I was called to operate in the courts of heaven. Because down here, I realized on my journey, everything, there is really technically no justice down here in these courts. So I regrouped and I started operating in the courts of heaven. So if we're not getting justice down here, I take it into the courts of heaven and put things in place. And I'm telling you, I've seen result after result after result. The courts of heaven is real. It's very real. And most of you, I don't know if you know, but they're the saying, as above, so beneath. So above us is the heaven, and it's perfect up there. But we are to bring heaven to earth down here. So it makes uh, that's what we're doing, down here. We are actually bringing heaven to earth and making the earth a better place. And that's why it's important, that we study, we learn, we listen, we adapt, and we change, and for the better, hopefully. And there's another rule of engagement: you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Another rule of engagement is the kingdom of heaven is inside of us. And another engagement is you shall know them by their fruit. So sometimes, we just have to step back, and if things don't, we have to observe and watch and see what type of fruit that the people you're around, how they are, what are you observing? What are you seeing? If you start seeing bad fruit, you ought to know, hey, I'm not going to associate myself with them. Just like I'm not going to go out there and take some rotten fruit off of a tree and eat it. I want the good stuff. So um, that's engagement. Now, another thing is, a workman is worthy of his hire. All are equal under the law. In commerce, truth is sovereign. Truth is expressed in the form of an affidavit. A matter of fact, a matter must be expressed to be resolved. He who fails to assert his right has none. He who leaves the field of battle first loses by default. I want somebody out there just to really think about that. If you're in a battle, and a lot of you are, just like I am myself, if you leave that field of battle, you've lost. You're a loser. Sacrifice is the measure of credibility. Another rules of engagement that I said in contracts are not completely understood. If contracts are not completely understood by all parties, they are fraudulent. So that's where they really snookered a lot of us. They put in these contracts up on us, and we didn't know what we was signed, and we got deceived. The bottom line, we got deceived, and I had to accept that responsibility. And I'll just put a little bit of story out there to say this. My background is real estate, and I did quite well. And I had time in Florida where I had about 5 to 7 houses, and I was just getting them. I was going in and just signing a promissory note, getting loans, not really understanding what I was signing. But later, when the market crashed and I lost everything, and I was fighting for my last home, I began to do case law and the study and to look how everything was actually playing out as I was fighting for my last home. But kind of sum things up, what I found out is actually when I was signing that contract at the table closing to receive a loan for the property, that I was really actually signing an instrument called a promissory note. And what I found out that promissory note is a legal instrument, and it's valued at whatever they executed at. Just give you an example: if you sign a note for $100,000, what they do with that promissory note, because you give them permission to take the money out of the accounts that was set up for you at birth, which is you are to be the beneficiary on. They take that note and they go and get the money out of your securities. Now, I wouldn't say your securities, but they were securities that was set up at birth for you, right? And they pay that house off. So that house is paid for free and clear from the accounts they set up for you. And then they put us in debt for, like, they put you in debt for $100,000. Then they take 10 times that amount, and they'll take a and give that to the bank. And then the bank, and banks are not even allowed to loan out their own money. So every time these banks are sitting there, the middleman doing nothing. So I realized, I said, man, you know what? I signed all these notes, and one of these was around $100,000, and that got paid out of the accounts that they set up at birth, where we were supposed to be the beneficiaries. And then they sent $1 million. It's called fractional reserve banking over to the bank. And I'm like, wow, that is crazy. And so, anyways, I kept fighting and fighting. So I went back and I was doing some case law, and I found a case in Ohio called the Boinko case, where one's lady's mortgage, they not just did the kind of fraud I just described, but they took her note, her mortgage, and monetized that 660 times in 1 year. Yeah. I mean, in 1 year. And you want to talk about fraud, but anyways, I began to realize that only the original instrument that was signed is considered a legal lawful security. But they were making copies of all these and selling them as a legal lawful security. But so I realized, I knew, and I had busted them, that they had sold my original mortgage, the original promissory note that I had. And I even, I had I paid $1,000 to have a forensic expert come in and examine that note that was signed to make sure that it was my original signature. And certainly it wasn't. It was a copy. And they even did fraudulent stuff on the notes, fraudulent on the Nagy signature. And I even had the forensic document expert in court and everything, and I was representing myself. But anyways, the judge, when he had everything that I had submitted to him, he even said himself, this looks like a fraudulent signature right here. In other words, it was fraud. He even admitted it. And anyways, they turned around and they put a judgment on me for $475,000, which the house was only worth about 200 and some thousand. And then they sold my house on the courthouse steps for 40 grand. So, but you know, that was one of the things that actually really changed my life, because it really, um, that's when I began to dig into a lot of deep things that was going on, in general, just the fraud in general. So I want everyone to know, you know, um, what you're going through right now, take that experience and use it and turn that into a greater stepping stone than ever before. Because I mean, if I hadn't went what I had to go through and what I did go through, I would not be the same man that I am today. But now, my mindset has changed. I don't entertain any negative energy. Um, I don't have it around me. Um, I keep my own space. I surround myself who I want to surround myself with. I deal with people I want to talk to, but I don't, follow the masses anymore. I walk in peace, because I've come through enough to know that, we are to be the boss of our own lives. And understand everybody does need help on the way in life. And that's where, you really got to do your research before you even get in bed with somebody, before you want to if you say, for instance, you have your car and it needs to be fixed, you know, I typically always have one of my friends or something that knows a very good mechanic. I'll take my vehicle over on a recommendation from my friends. But I just want to give a little shout out to the Fearless Floyd team, or those that are following him. There's a lot of knowledge upon him, and he's been there and done that. And our paths have definitely crossed by divine, and we're working together. He's really brought some better changes to me, and I've helped him out a lot. But um, you know, we really want to help the people. That's what my goal is. That's what my heart is to bring people together, because none of us has all the answers. We just don't. On my journey, I'll be quite honest with you, I'm where I am at today because of many others that have helped me on my journey. And I wouldn't be where I'm at if they hadn't crossed my path when it was needed at the right time to put me, you know, where I'm at. But another rule of engagement, legal maxima in world system: he who is unaware, allow him to be. Another rule of engagement: there is wisdom available on request. There is light in your path, legal maximums in the kingdom of heaven. And the world, you know, rule of engagement: you are in a vessel from another kingdom's point of view. And I just want everybody to think about something. Have you ever noticed when you're dealing with jurisdictions, because that's what this is, it's jurisdictions and rules of engagements. If you ever get pulled over and the officer comes up, what's one of the first things they do? They come up and they put their hand on your vehicle. And what are they doing? They're taking jurisdiction over you. And, you know, if you can get it into your mind in conversations, don't enter into their jurisdictions. And it's very, very powerful. So,
It, it is,
I
and
mean,
let me put a caveat on that because I've covered this. The side of the road on an encounter with a law enforcement officer, and I don't care what level, state, county, doesn't matter. That's not the time to debate law.
correct.
So
Absolutely.
so don't get into an argument. You want to stand firm, okay? Not necessarily stand your ground. Stand firm, hold on to your rights, don't acquiesce your rights, okay? But agree to disagree to settle the matter there to move it on to a higher authority in court where you can go beat them up.
Mhm.
Okay. Don't hold court on the side of the fucking road. Bad things are going to happen.
No,
And it's really
absolutely.
not going to be in your favor. Trust me on that.
Absolutely. Now,
So,
I don't know. One thing, it was on October 6, 1917, you know, the cabal controlled government as a trustee. They actually declared all of its citizens to be incompetent enemies of the state. And it's called Trading with the Enemy Act. I know you're very familiar with that, Floyd, probably correct?
so
Trading
yeah.
with the enemy, the
Tuya.
65th Congress. Yeah. And so, you know, we don't want to be in their jurisdiction because it's hard to beat. But remember, but I'm, you know, out there now, I'm not trying to be an enemy of the state. I just, I'm not against government, but I do want to let everybody know we do need to be aware of what's going on around us so we know how to defend ourselves. And that's what we're working on with Floyd and I, trying to put all these trusts together and help people get that, because that is a mechanism that will actually help defend yourself, help protect you,
Right.
help you on everything.
Yeah. And you kind of have to clean that up a little bit on your statement regarding, it's not that it's not that we don't not like government or anything like that. We don't like governments that are corrupt, fraudulent, have no transparency and no accountability. And the problem is we've allowed that to metastasize like cancer to where
Mhm.
now governmental entities have unions for their workers so they can do collective bargaining so they can get more money out of the taxpayers. What's up with that? Either you want to look,
Yeah,
here's the rate. You either want to work for the city or the county or the state or the federal government, or you don't. You know, there shouldn't be a union to represent you. That just makes zero sense. We have to pay for that. Um, so yeah, that's the problem with government. And as you see, And who put it over here? They just posted that, you know, our judicial system is broken. It's non-functionable. It can't function as it exists. Excuse me. I brought this up last night regarding the Supreme Court, that they still have 9 justices. And that's exactly what it was back when the United States had 2.5 million people. Okay. Now we have probably 380, including all the illegal immigrants.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of people. Now,
That's
guess
about
what?
right.
Guess what? Those extra 40 million illegal immigrants, guess what they're getting? Due process. They got to go through the courts. The Democrats, those left-wing mentally ill liberals, want every single one of those 40 million to have to go through a judicial process. It's logistically impossible. This is why I keep telling you folks, okay, until Trump turns this into a 100% military operation, takes it completely away from Department of Homeland Security, then it will become a logistical mass exodus. But until that time, you know, we got to go argue before the Supreme Court and hope that those fucking 7 wicked, evil, satanic justices that are clearly mentally ill, they've proven it by their opinions, nothing's going to change. So from the top down, and I've experienced this in the 5th Circuit, U.S. District Court right here in Southern District of Texas, Houston Division, Galveston Division. I've litigated in the Eastern District, Western District, Northern District of Texas. I've litigated everywhere, almost in every freaking court in Texas, not only for myself, but for other people. And that was, you know, child custody cases, CPS cases, divorce cases, probate cases. Man, I did everything for everybody. They all came to me. If you had an intoxicated related offense, I was your number one guy. 9 times out of 10, I was going to tell you something that you didn't want to hear. That's just, you know, how I roll. If I was there hustling people, yeah, I would come out of there with a shitty reputation. But I can call up my buddy right now, who we were in the law library together. He didn't do criminal shit like I did. He did mostly civil stuff. He did 25 years flat when he finally made parole. Okay. But he got out before me. We hooked up in the parole office. He is basically a part-time paralegal here in Harris County. He's actually written death penalty petitions for criminal defense attorneys. Absolutely. He just got a judge off. He wrote the writ, or the, what do you file? Motion, appeal brief in the Court of Appeals, First Court of Appeals, and got a judge off for domestic suit. He wrote that, not the attorney, and the attorney got all the credit. Absolutely. And I couldn't have that connection. Those people wouldn't have any association with me. But they know my reputation because I had it in prison. Why? Because I was on the WIN unit. Go look it up. Statistically, the WIN unit is a sex offender unit, and I didn't know it when I got there, but it's about 65-75% sex offenders, which means if every table you sit at is a 4-top table, which means there's 4 seats. So I'm there for a freaking DWI. So I'm sitting by 3 guys. Guess what? Statistically, they're all sex offenders. Even though they're going to tell me this guy's here for aggravated robbery, this guy's here for burglary, this guy's here for meth. And all 3 of them are in there for some kind of sexual assaults. Absolutely. Forget where I was going with that. Forgot where I was going with that. It's been a long day.
I wanted to ask you real quick, Floyd, did you get your problem solved? Did you get your problem solved today?
Let me go check. Probably not. I doubt it. I looked right before, went through half of the emails you sent me. No.
No, I'm talking about on your live stream.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about too. No.
Okay.
I don't even have
Not
an
yet.
email back from them.
Hang in there. Hang in there.
Yeah,
It's going to get done.
well, I know that, but it's never a 1 day deal. It sucks. And now it's Friday and nobody's going to do anything on the weekend. And next week's Memorial Day weekend. And, they're going to try to drag that shit on there. It took my domain hosting company, domain.com. Don't ever use domain.com or web.com, any of those. They are trash. Customer service sucks. It took them over a year to fix a problem with my website. A year. I'd get on their ass, spend 3 or 4 days getting on their ass and forget about it. It's like, hopefully they'll fix it next month. Same thing. Next month, same thing. Next month, same thing. Yeah, a year. So, I don't have any hope for them. They told me they would have my website fixed before Mother's Day last week. Did I make any friends in prison that I keep in touch with now? Sadly, a lot of them have passed away.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. They got aggravated time. They got to do 50%. I told y'all the story about Bobby Doak, who Alan Wade Johnson was doing all his litigation. This is the story. Whether it's true or not, I have no idea. This is what was told to me. Bobby Doak sat down beside me. He goes, "Here, Floyd, help me out, man. Do my writ of certiorari in the United States Supreme Court. Alan can't do it for me." I'm like, man, fuck. I don't want to have to go reread everything that you did and all the way back down to your convicting court to write a writ of certiorari. Okay? And I wasn't getting paid for this. And that's what I did. Why? He was at his last. He was at the knot at the end of the rope. He had a life sentence, aggravated life sentence, accused of aggravated sexual assault of a minor. His stepdaughter, this is his story. His stepdaughter used to go with him on basically local truck runs. He drove a truck over the road. And one day he told her, "Hey, you can't go out with her friends." Next thing he knows, he's getting locked up for sexual assault of a minor. So she alleged that on these little over the road trips that he was sexually assaulting her. He got aggravated life sentence. He was at his last rope. So I did his writ of certiorari, and of course, United States Supreme Court. What a fucking joke. If you guys just really knew, okay, y'all would understand that the whole judicial system in the United States of America on every level is a joke. It's a fucking joke. It's a crapshoot. Yes, man. I just showed you 2 cases of my own: the telephones and the climate control. I can go show you the size of our cells, that lawsuit, the one about chemical dependency treatment. I can show you that one. Then I can go back to the other one where they changed the health and safety code. I mean, I can just go on and on my own fucking shit. Just my cases. Just imagine what they do to all these other people. It's sick. It's unfucking believable. That's why when I got the TDCJ Win Unit Law Librarian John M. Quata Jr. to admit on the record, okay, I'm sitting in a unused office in the academic library with a telephone, a desk, and a chair. That's it. No water, no nothing. I had a 4-hour teleconference hearing. I'm in Huntsville, Texas, in the Win Unit. In Travis County, Austin, Texas, in court is the judge, court reporter, the assistant attorney general, and my defendant, John M. Quata. So we're doing a preliminary injunction because he withheld my legal mail for 17 days. According to TDCJ policy, you can only hold an inmate's mail for 72 hours and you have to return it or send it. I got him to admit on open record that he did that, violated TDCJ policy, which violated my right to meaningful access to courts. The judge denied my injunction and dismissed my case, all in the same hearing. Absolutely. And this is just the shit, the garbage I've been through over and over and over and over and over. And like, there are no rights. You know, I don't know if you got to go in there and do a Masonic pose and do some Masonic symbology, put your hand through your fucking jacket and they recognize you and go, oh, that's one of our guys. So we got to let him go. You know, I don't know what the fuck the deal is. But whatever it is, you know, and then we can go back to me and Judge Keeling in the Walker County grand jury room where they had me hogtied like a fucking Con Air prisoner from the movie trying to litigate against a free world attorney that the Texas Attorney General hired because they didn't have anybody that could litigate against me with the Assistant Attorney General and then the late Judge Keeling, where we're arguing over whether Texas is a for-profit corporation or a republic. And we agreed to disagree right fucking there, face to face. I just fucking cannot stop, man. I can go on and on and on and on, folks. I did this for 12 fucking years, drove myself insane to the point when that happened, I walked back to my cell and I went, man, it doesn't matter what the fuck I do. It doesn't matter what proof I provide them. It doesn't matter how much fact evidence I have to back all this up. They're not going to let me win. Period. End of story. Ever. And they didn't, and they wouldn't. They can't, and they won't.
Well, you must have did something right, Floyd. I mean, you got out of there before it was time.
Let me tell you that crazy ass story. I mean, it's just, bro, it's insane. So I'm on the WIN unit, okay, and I told you I got investigated by those 4 alphabet agencies. So they throw me off that unit. Boom, get the fuck out of here. We don't want you. They send me to the OB Ellis unit in Huntsville. It's almost over by East Ham in Lovelady. So I get over there, and guess what? They fucking called ahead. Hey, we got one coming. Y'all take care of him. And they took care of me. Took the rest of my fucking property. I had to go through a whole bunch of old bullshit over there. I was in medium custody. I overturned my case. They put me in general population. And I swear to God, not 12 hours later, they came back and slammed me with another major disciplinary case. This time, possession of a treasury draft in violation of whatever else fucking they wanted to throw at me. Again, trying to get me another federal conviction. They just tried on the WIN unit. Now they're trying again over on the Ellis unit. So they send me to their little kangaroo disciplinary court, find me guilty, same everything, except going back to medium custody. Now I went to closed custody, which means I'm in my cell 23 and a half hours a day with another man. Yeah. So I did, I don't know how many months over there. Then they kicked me to medium custody, did 3 months there. Then they kicked me out general population. Okay. And I'm infamous. Okay. They had a thing in TDCJ called the Rodeo Roundup. January 14th, 2014. No, 2013. 14. That's when they ran in on me. Valentine's Day, February 14th, when they shipped me to the OB Ellis unit. Okay. So I've already got this reputation, you know. Wow, that dude, you know, kind of hard to make friends. But I was already up for parole, but I'm writing everybody. I'm writing the parole board, parole commissioners, the unit parole officer. You know, what's up with my answer, man? I should have had an answer by now, you know, at least to set off something. So I'm getting all these different answers. So I get one from a unit parole officer. It tells me you'll be seen soon for parole. And I'm like, y'all have already seen me. I'm waiting on an answer. So they give me a parole lay-in. I go see parole. I sit in front of this brand new parole officer who used to be a building sergeant. She lateraled from the CID division, which is the Correctional Institution Division, to the parole division. Okay, that's basically what they do with me. They just transferred the property, the collateral, from the CID division to the parole division. Now it gets to run around the state. I know it's sick. It's so sick. This is why I say when you know everything, it's just unbelievable. So, bam, I'm sitting down in front of her, and she's got a file folder. Okay. And she opens it up and it's got a piece of paper in it. And I'm like looking around. I'm looking for my file. And it doesn't matter. Whenever I go in front of any prison authority, my file's always this thick. You know, it's got 10,000 grievances sticking out of it. And, you know, it's just heinous. They know me before I get there. So she goes, I was instructed to give you an expedited parole. I hear expedited parole. All right. So now my dictionary, my memory, my Rolodex is going. It went all the way back to 1982. Have you ever heard of an expedited parole, Floyd? Mm-mm. Nope. And I got there in 1982 and hadn't heard of it since until 2015. I'm sitting in front of the parole officer. I go, what's an expedited parole? Well, they just told me to bring you up. So click. Oh, because I'm a nonviolent offender, they statutorily have to bring me up for parole review once a year. If not, they're in violation. I allegedly hold them accountable in court. So I'm just like, y'all just here to give me my 1 year set off to, you know, make sure y'all doing what y'all supposed to do. All right, whatever. She's like, no, really. I go, well, where's my file? She goes, I don't know. I go, well, how are you going to give me a review if you don't even have my file? She's like, I'm just told to give you an expedited parole. I go, well, here, that's where I'm going. I'm paroling here. There's my address. That's all our information. I told you guys, don't even lay me in for parole anymore because I had given up. Why? Because that guy over in the Attorney General's office, you know, fondly known as Mr. Hot Wheels, he was the Attorney General. Well, Rick Perry decided he wanted to be president and he bailed from the governor's office. So guess who ran and won? Oh, shit. My adversary, Greg Abbott, that disabled guy who fought me on an ADA suit that I filed, an American with Disability. That'd be me. And that fool fought me and won. Really? So anyway, y'all are starting to see the big picture, how this all goes. So she tells me, I'll have an answer for you in a week. And I'm like, what the fuck ever? 3 days later, I get a lay-in. I'm like, parole? I go, what's this other one? And I got a parole with some alphabet numbers on it. And I was like, what the fuck is that? I'm asking everybody, hey, you know what this is? You know what this is? Nobody knows. So I go to the law library. I asked one of the homies in there, hey, man, you know what that is? Oh, yeah, I got one of those. And he had a parole lay-in too. And I'm like, what? He goes, yeah, my girl, she already called. She found out I already made parole. I already know I'm going home. I'm like, really? I go, so what's this? She goes, that's part of your review for when you make parole. You go home. I'm like, what? No, man, I'm not going anywhere. He goes, yeah, you probably made parole. And I'm like, whatever, dude. So the parole office is in the infirmary. So next, I go catch my lay-in. And of course, my last name's Tarvin. So I'm always fucking last. So I'm in a line. There's like 10 to 12 guys in front of me. Statistically, 30% make parole. 60%, they don't. Okay. Or 70%, whatever it is. But it's right around 30%. So first guy walks out, FI. That means further investigation. He's going home. Next guy, FI. He's going home. Next guy, he's going home. I'm like, oh, fuck. Next guy, he's going home. I'm like, fuck, I'm out of there. Oh, fuck. Next guy going home. Next guy going home. Next guy going home. Next guy going home. Uh-oh, I'm up. What? I told you, Mr. Tarvin. I'm like, holy fuck. These guys are going to fucking release me. Everybody in the infirmary is looking at me. They're like, you're going home? Everybody's amazed. You're going home? Because I just came out of closed custody, medium custody. Everybody on the unit knew how hard they were fucking with me. They knew what I went through over on the WIN unit. And oddly enough, I was granted parole. And what had happened, Rick Perry's nothing but business. He don't give a fuck. He's a serial killer too. He executed, I don't know how many innocent people on death row in Texas. I don't even want to go on. I think I've said enough. Yeah, I'm exhausted with all that. But that's the corruption. That's all the corruption, the strife, mental anguish, pain, suffering, cruel and unusual punishment.
Well, look at the good things about it. Let me tell you something good about it. If you hadn't been through that, and you had to go through all that, we wouldn't be having a Fearless Floyd show today.
There would be no fearless.
Yeah, Fearless Floyd, we wouldn't be having a show today if you didn't go through all that.
Right. And, when I meet people and, they're like, how long were you locked up? And I tell them, well, 14 years, 2 months flat. And I go, oh my God, dude, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, why? You didn't do anything to facilitate that. I did that to myself. And I'm not fucked up about a day one I spent behind bars on that 60-year sentence. Not one fucking day. You know why? Because it got to the point where I was doing so much, okay? So much that I would sit on my bunk and it'd be like, rack time or beyond rack time. I couldn't type anymore. I didn't want to, fuck with everybody. I'd lean back. My cellie would be up there reading. I'd go, you know what, dude? I don't have enough time in my day to do everything I need to do. How fucked up is that with a 60-year sentence? And I said that almost every day there at the tail end of my litigation. I just didn't have enough time in my day to do everything I needed today. And I got nothing but time. That was the irony of what I was doing, the insanity of it, how sucked up in it, how focused I was. I mean, God dang. If y'all read my writ habeas corpus that I did, it was, oh my God, 536 pages with the application and the brief. It was like a college thesis. Yeah, and I've done all this, and most of the legal stuff I've done, I've forgotten a lot of it, and I've done things. I was doing things that nobody was even thinking about doing. So I was like, okay, nobody's tried that. Let me try this. Nobody's doing that. Let me try that. I just like everybody's doing over here in the private process. We're trying to find some way to discharge our debt, 1099, bill of exchange, whatever. Same deal. I was hitting them. That's how they changed the Texas Health Safety Code. I was like, oh, here's an avenue. Let me go poke the bear over here and see my reaction. And boy, did I get a reaction out of them. Yeah. So, yeah, that is sad that a lot of them died. Oh, I was going on the whole Bobby Doak story. Nah, that's where I was going with that. Back to Bobby Doak. Sorry. Doing his research, he had the aggravated sexual assault. So when the United States Supreme Court denied his petition for writ of certiorari with a blanket order, which means they didn't even look at it. It was like took hundreds of other cases and went denied. Y'all get off our desk. That's basically what they do. Sweep them over here in the trash. That's justice in America, folks. That's what it really looks like. So after Bobby failed, exhausted every bit of his litigative remedies, actual innocence, wrongful conviction, post-conviction writs, direct appeals, etc., etc. Alan worked in the food service department as the bookkeeper, so he worked for the food service manager. He got Bobby Doak a job in the kitchen commissary where you pretty much just eat whatever you want, whenever you want. And I walked into kitchen commissary one day, and Bobby had, like a 14-inch pizza platter, 2 big old stacked double meat cheeseburgers, fully loaded, big old pile of French fries, big old pile of onion rings. And I'm like, damn, you knew I was coming. You got me a burger. He goes, no, this is all for me. I go, what? He goes, yeah, I'm going to eat all this. I'm like, how the fuck you going to eat all that food? He goes, I'm going to eat myself to death. I'm like, what? I go, what'd you say? He goes, I'm going to eat myself to death. What the fuck are you talking about? Eat yourself to death. He goes, I just can't do this time, Floyd. I just can't do this time. I'm not going to do this time. I'm just going to eat myself till I have a heart attack or something. I'm like, what the fuck? That's horrible. Really? He's like, yep. Yeah. And he's not in the system anymore. Yeah. Hmm. And, then I can tell you the whole horror stories about, the medical providers on the units. We had one doctor, a boss Coshtail. And when you went in there, he prescribed you medication and you walked out, the nurses or physician's assistant, they would flat out tell you, get your people to check that medication with cross-reference it with your other medications. Make sure you can take it because he'll kill you. Where's my Bible? I swear, tell truth, whole truth, nothing but truth. So help me God. There you go, folks. Honest to God's truth. And that was just in like 12 small years while I was in prison. Imagine what the rest of my life looked like. It's just same insane, crazy stories. I haven't even looked over in Telegram because I was on such a tirade talking about all of that. It's just been, it's one of those days. I'm glad I got to release it. I'm glad you're here for it. And thank you for paying attention and being patient with me. I know you're talking about the trust and how to maneuver yourself. And we covered this on the other show. And for what Raymond was facilitating regarding your pathway, how you're going to move in the future, whatever that looks like for you. And if you have some type of investment that you're looking for a larger return on your investment, and that's crypto, foreign currency, however you feel like you want to invest, I always call it NFL's inheritance. We don't know what you know. We don't know what you don't know. We don't know what you filed, what you haven't filed. We don't know what your goals are. More likely than not, you don't know what your own goals are. So this is what I tell everybody when I first have an initial conversation with them is figure out what you think your goals are, prioritize those. So let's say you want more free time, but you want to find a way to pay your bills. Well, that would be your number one priority is figure out a way to pay your bills. So once you prioritize those goals, then if you know the pathway to get your goals, like, okay, this Facebook group over here, they have a class that's weekly, whatever, or I can go over here to this Rumble video and watch it over there, or I can call so-and-so and talk to them on a consultation, whatever that looks like. If you don't know that pathway, that's when you have a conversation with somebody like Raymond, myself, or somebody else that you trust their experience and their honesty, good faith, and integrity to assist you with the validation and achievement of your goals. So if we know, like, oh yeah, if you want to do the passport process, and I use James because he's easy. You want to become a U.S. national and do his process, go see James C. Lovett. Go watch his videos. Right to travel, same thing. Go see James C. Lovett. So we can try to give you as much guidance as we can to get you there. We're telling everybody, look, just be prepared. Start taking action now. You don't necessarily have to buy the book or get the book, take the class, anything like that. But you should at least become aware of what you need to do. So when the time comes, you can do it. Now, we know that not everybody that sees this video is going to reach out and they're going to take care or take advantage of what we have to offer. Because honestly, I'm under oath. Raymond was like, "Man, your book's way undervalued," and I'm like, "I know it is, but I can't make it a $1,000 book because nobody will buy it. I had to make it where it's still retained value." Okay, so it's just a little bit unattainable for just the everyday person for a reason. So we had to set it up that high to give it value because somebody like Raymond went out and you blew what, $9,000 on a trust, 12 grand, something like
Well,
that.
I'll be honest with you. I look at it as no, it was actually the best 9 grand I've ever well, actually my business partner had the money at the time. And, and we got 2 trusts for that. And, like I said, it was really, yeah, it was a lot of money, but it was one of the best decisions that I made. We took a leap of faith, and I never really thought, looking back on it, that I would actually end up being a trust consultant myself. Same thing that my advisor, you know, um, was, he was from DC. He did everything he said he would do, but he just didn't quite know. I was telling him about some of the stuff I was involved in, and I was on the phone with him, and he was trying to figure out how to help me on some stuff that he didn't have the answers for. And he said, "Mr. Lee, I don't know about you, man." He said, "You're in the 1% of the 1% out there." But he was an honorable man, and I, like I said, it was a memorable experience working with him. And then, but I will tell you this, he set me up right, and that is the trust template that we know exactly, who put it together, and we call it now the mega trust. So that's one of the trusts that we're actually going to stick with. It's the secondary trust, but I know, Floyd, if you looked at what I proposed to you there, the living will, revocable living will trust, and really most people don't know, but the trusts that we do are actually a living will estate trust, because the trust is called really a trust estate. They're tied together, because most people don't understand when they actually set up the birth certificates why it was so complicated, because they actually merged the birth certificate kind of like into a trust estate. They merged them together. So one thing I realized many years ago, before you're ever going to get any remedy from off of that birth certificate, you have to end the birthification. That means you have to break off the trust from the estate. You have to separate that to understand it. But the living trust is so important because of the estate. It's tied to your estate, and your estate is always at the very top. So that's, what I sent to you. That's why I put a lot of that stuff in there, for people to understand. You want to start out, you want to have that living trust set up, and then, because that's a living trust estate, and then you can take the irrevocable trust and make it the owner of your revocable living trust, and you got that extra added protection right now after that. So, as Floyd often talks about layering things, that's really a layer right there. That irrevocable trust, as far as we know, it's hardly ever been pierced, except maybe cases of fraud or something like that. But it's solid. So, did you get that case law that I sent to you, Elliott versus Freeman? Did you see that in your email? Do you want to put that up maybe on the screen, possibly, and show some, if you have it, possibly?
I don't know where I opened it. Is that it?
Yeah, it was the one that just had the link with it.
Yeah, hang on. Yeah, Elliott versus Freeman.
Yeah, maybe pull that up that people could see it, maybe.
Yeah, hang on.
You might want to read it there. It's kind of
Yeah,
small on the screen.
yeah, I'm looking for the holding syllabus. I'll just read that. It was the intention of Congress to embrace within the corporation tax provisions of the Tariff Act of August 5th, 1909, Chapter 6, 36 Statutes 11-112. Only such corporations and joint stock associations are organized under some statute or derived from that source some quality or benefit not existing at the common law. A trust form in a state where statutory joint stock companies are unknown for the purpose of purchasing, improving, holding, and selling land, and which does not have perpetual succession but ends with lives in being in 20 years thereafter, and is not within the provisions of the corporation tax law. So where is the holding? there's no, I'm looking for the holding.
Yeah, as far as we know and our research, that the express trust, it truly is the only trust that we are aware of that is absolutely not under any type of statutory jurisdiction, and it's a pure equity trust. We have
Right.
not found any other one yet that matches this. So this is kind of, when we talk about a mega trust that we do, it is a mega trust.
Right. Yeah, there was no holding there. All right, fixing to do another giveaway. Congratulations to Matt. Matt won the T-shirt. I'm going to do all of these. I'm going to post it over here again. So if you haven't joined my Telegram, go over and join the Telegram. You can only enter once per prize. If you haven't joined, it's going to ask you to do a math problem. 4 plus 4 equals 8. You're going to put 8 over in Rose or Shieldy. That'll be over in your contacts, groups, and channels. So go find it, put it in there, and automatically take you to my Telegram. So let me get this next one. Y'all ready? And everybody go. All right. So what we're trying to do is put together basically like a Chinese buffet. You know, you can go to a Chinese buffet now and they've got, like 1,000 desserts, and now they have sushi and all these other stuff that's not even Chinese buffet anymore. You know, some of it's Vietnamese, some of it's American. They just blend it all in there. Very, very big smorgasbord of items. So what we've done is we've taken what Raymond has done and has been doing with his own trust and his own different types of documents and templates. Utilize Ann's 2 books. We're taking that, dissecting it, breaking it apart, and making just small little slivers of this stuff, little bitty samples of the entire book. So it's not so overly complicated for everybody, and applying that as you need it. So, you may not need 95% of what's in the book. You just need that 5%. But that 5% isn't just in one place. It's in a couple places in the book. So you have to read the book to find out, oh, okay, yeah, I need to use that. And it's over in this other section. So what we've done is trying to just deflect all that for you so you don't have to go through all that. There's going to be some of you out there who are going to want the ebook and the softcover book, both, or you're going to want one or the other. Some of you, you don't even care about the book. All you care about is I just need a trust. I want it to be operable, and I want to do what I need to accomplish. So we're going to try to work with everybody individually as much as possible. The people that are working on this have been doing this. So it's not like we just recruited, 2 other people who have no idea what the hell we're doing. This is Raymond's assistant who's been doing this for a hot minute. The person that I'm bringing in was her brother, is actually the one who introduced me to Madeline Tiggle, where I paid for my original trust. And that was my introduction into trust. And that was in 2020. So 5 years ago, that's when I got into this, and I got dropped in my lap a complicated trust. At the very beginning, it wasn't simple. It wasn't an express trust. I really didn't understand it or how to operate it. And I was going to get all this guidance, and that's a whole nother long story. But her brother and I, he passed away. Her and I still remain in contact. So we still do the same things. She's very familiar with all of this, very literate, highly intellectual, smart, very well researched. And I don't know how the hell she could do it at the time, but she literally could be listening to 3 different Zooms and working and then talking to me on the phone and telling me everything that was going on in these Zooms that had been going on in these Zooms. And I'm like, how the hell
Wow.
do you do that? Yeah. Yeah. It just blew me away. And some of these Zooms were like 12-hour Zooms, and she had been on it the whole 12 hours. And these other Zooms had started in between. Some of them she'd like get on a Zoom and it would expire in 2 hours and she'd still be on that 12-hour Zoom. Yeah, it was insane. I mean, we used to go hard when it came to studying, listening to people, watching videos, all of that. So it's, and I got to the point where, as far as all these other processes, I don't see anything that's proof of concept, proof of success, and it works twice, just like your debit card. I just don't see that. What I do see working are trust. I see the ability of that to layer and insulate yourself. And another thing that you haven't even brought up, Raymond, is trademarks. So let me ask you that. What's your feeling on trademarks protecting these entities that you create with trade names and trademarks?
Well, my name is trademarked. I do have that. That's about the extent of it. Um, I did actually concerning the estate. I ran everything in a newspaper ad many years ago on everything to trademark. You have to give notice in the newspaper. I've done that. There's multiple ways to trademark. There's uh, I do have a friend, and she handles that, and but it takes about 6 months to get the whole thing accomplished, with everything she goes through. But that
Yeah.
is very important. No, it's very important. Depending on how deep you want to go with it, we could spend our life continually studying this stuff, going down the rabbit paths of everything. But trademark is important now, very important.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I don't know if you know, but I do. Well, I don't. I facilitate it. Wesley Keith Mullings has trademark classes. He has 7 different modules, except 9. Sorry, 9 modules. And it's something you didn't mention, but it's that's also something that's available to you. That's a little bit more in depth in
Hmm.
creating your layers of anonymity and protection.
Hmm.
Just what you're trying to do is insulate yourself from everybody. That's
Yes.
banks, corporations, government, as much as possible. They're hitting dead ends when they're on this outer layer and they're peeling the onion. And they get to the center, they're like, oh, dead end. They're still not to you.
Mhm.
So that's what we're trying to get you and educate you. I'm gonna pop over here to Telegram, and whoever is the next one post is the winner. I'm at 6, waiting on 7.
Yeah, and I think the timing is right for people to start with trust because especially with I do think that there's going to be a lot of people that's just average every day, but there are going to be a lot of multimillionaires out there. And I'm telling you, I really believe I don't know when, but I do think it's going to be possibly within at least the next 6 months or so. I mean, things are changing, things are happening. I mean, we're going to a decentralization platform. If you look at it, everything's coming to be decentralized. The government, our federal government's going to downsize about 90%. And I'm thinking there's going to be some beautiful changes coming in. And I think the more that we are set up and ready for those changes, we have our trust in place, have everything set up, and you got to have your instruments, legally done and in place, but you also got to have the knowledge of it too. You know, the knowledge is what's just as valuable as having your instruments, but you don't have to know everything there is about trust. You just have to know how it can benefit you and how it can serve you.
Yeah, Absolutely.
I mean, if you was to read through that 43-page trust, that we prepare, I'll be honest with you, I don't know every code, every statute in that trust. I don't. But I can tell you this, I know how it can be used and I know how to operate it. Just like an
So,
18-wheeler truck,
right.
the trucks that drive it, they don't know how to, a lot of them don't know how to work on that truck, but they know how to drive it. They know how to use it. The
Right.
same way with these entities.
Yep. I'm gonna go over here and check the telegram. Nope. Still waiting on number 7. I guess nobody wants a free book, but that's cool. I don't have to get it away. And all right. So, what are your plans for the weekend?
Well, I think I've rescheduled my day for the beach on Sunday. I think I'm gonna head out, get that in there. What I'm gonna
Okay.
do.
Yeah, I'm thinking. I was thinking about that today. I've been either at work or cooped up in the house for
Yeah, I definitely want to
weeks now.
get out for a while. I've been working around the clock trying to put all this together. But I don't know. Well, I'll let you make the call, but I think we're getting to the point where, we can start getting some clients lined up, whoever would want to come on board first, be the guinea pigs and see what happens.
Right.
you know, you know,
Okay.
and
Yeah,
then
I'll get
they
something. I'll get something tuned up over in the store. There we go. Yep. You can only enter once. 44283. Yeah, you can only enter one time per item. That's part of the rules. But whoever's next gets a free book and LaFleur's On Trust ebook. Let me show y'all what I created over here. Remember, I showed y'all that Fox 26 article? Well, that was over on Facebook. That's where I found that. So I went and posted under that article. Well, that's not what I want. Where'd it go? There we go. So I did a screenshot and I posted the final judgment so everybody can actually see who the real killers are. You know, um, yeah, my cellie Michael, he used when he called me fearless, he was like, "You can't call the assistant warden a crackhead and an alcoholic and all this other shit." And I was like, "Why not?" He was terrified. He was so worried they were going to come run in and take us both to jail. I'm like, dude, we're in prison. Where are they going to take me? To another cell? Another prison? Is it going to be better than this? If anything, I'll be single celled and then I'll be all by myself. Then I can work 24/7. I don't have to stop working at 10 or 11 or midnight or 1 in the morning.
So they gave you tools to work with. What'd you have in there? A typewriter and some pen and paper, or what'd you have to work with?
Typewriter, carbon paper. I went through 13 typewriters in 12 years of litigation.
Well, you're blessed. I mean, they sure
I
didn't give that to me when I was locked up.
Yeah, I literally had contraband property slips, which means I didn't buy them out of commissary, bought them off the streets and had counterfeit property papers. Floyd. I wasn't a good counterfeiter in prison. So, yeah, I had a Smith Corona. And I always had a parts Smith Corona stashed under the bunk. So if I was typing and a motor failed, a gear failed, my matrix failed, within 30 minutes later, I got it completely apart, switching out parts, and I got real good at that. So I went through 13 typewriters after I litigated. I just wore them out. Carbon paper, and people are like, "Oh, you can't file your this petition has to be handwritten or some bullshit like that, man. Some kind of stuff. If you're a prisoner or litigator, you can you can write your whatever, your legal vehicle on anything in blood, shit, piss, vinegar, beet juice. It doesn't matter. Like I was going through that bullshit with the law librarian. He wouldn't, because I had all this litigation. I'm going through paper like there's no tomorrow, carbon paper, no tomorrow. He wouldn't give me paper. He's like, no, you've already got 200 sheets this week. You can't get any more. I'm like, well, I've got timelines. I got deadlines to meet. I need to type. So one of those was the United States Supreme Court. And I was like, okay, you want to play like that? Fuck you then. So I actually filed a document, and I'm sure everybody's been to a commercial bathroom where they have the paper rolls of toilet paper sitting there, and they got a wrapper on them, industrial wrapper, like Scott tissue, stuff like that. Well, those outer wrappers, I took them and spread them all out, cut them to where they were 8.5 by 11, and took the side that didn't have the graphics on it, put my carbon paper between them, and started typing out shit to the United States Supreme Court and filed it. And they filed it and sent it back. And I wish I still had it to show it to you. But yeah, when you file documents into the United States Supreme Court, they take every piece of paper that you send them and they run it through a chemical process. So your paper it's discolored. It's an off-white, kind of a yellowish color. And the pliability of it changes. So that's how you know it was filed in the United States Supreme Court. Absolutely. This is the stupid ass shit that I went through. Actually, David Ruiz, you heard me mention that case earlier, Ruiz versus Estelle. David Ruiz, they suppressed that dude so bad. He was here from Houston. He actually wrote some of his litigation on toilet paper rolls, on toilet paper. Absolutely. That's how bad they fuck with you in there. It's really it's an evil system, because most of the people that go to work there, they go to Sam Houston State University, to go to college, really don't know what they do. Some of them go into the criminal justice program, and then they get a part-time job at TDCJ, and then they go to class in their uniform, and then, of course, they skate because they're part of the system now. And most of them, they never had any authority. They were, the nerds, the outcasts, et cetera, and boom, now here they are. They have some authority. At one time, when Rick Perry was in governor, we had a real, we just came through the crack epidemic in the 90s, and this is the early 2000s. So all these women who were hood rats, and crack whores, and got knocked up by all the crackheads. Now they got all these babies, don't know who baby daddies are, and they need support from the state. So what did Rick Perry do? Oh, no. We're not going to give you welfare. Pow! There's an application to go be a correctional officer at the Texas Department of Criminal Justice. You're hired. So all those hood rats, all those little crack whores from the hoods, guess what? Now they're prison guards. And guess who the inmates are? You got it. The drug dealers and the crackheads and their baby daddies and their rival gang members and their associated gang members. Yeah, it gets real deep. So now they get to turn the tables on the guys that, preyed upon them in the hood, Now the tables are turned. So that was a whole nother dynamic that was going on. Yeah, crazy.
You know, Floyd, when I was in, I ended up joining you ever heard of Operation Fist?
Uh,
Well, FIST stands for First Incarceration Shock Treatment. It was a
oh,
military boot camp program. They had that back then. Yeah, I had a 5-year sentence, and kind of interesting. I was very fortunate. I went into signed up for the boot camp program and went into it. Man, I graduated. I was young. I was only like 20, about 21 when I was in there, young. But we went in. We was so bad. You know how you have platoons and stuff. They called us Jerry's kids.
Jerry's
You
kids.
know, yeah, that was our nicknames, man. And we had to get it all together, man. I mean, we couldn't march with each other. We couldn't do nothing, man. And
Oh,
I rallied them all together, man. And I became one of the leaders. We finally learned how to march. But I remember I was in there with this little Mexican guy in there, and he had the teardrops, you know, going down the cheeks. I don't know if you know. Obviously, you know what that means. How many people you murdered? Man, we
no.
got into it. I'll tell you, that little guy, man, picked me up and body slammed me, man. And boy, we went at it. It was something else. He was a lot shorter than I was, but yeah, but it was actually pretty interesting, though. I mean, man, we got so used to running all the time. You know, they took us out running every day in the platoon. One of our drill instructors, we called him drill instructor Wise. He'd come in hangover drunk all the time. You know, he was the instructor. He was drunk. He'd come in. Our platoon got so in shape when he was come in to take us out to jog. We just took off jogging, and he was left behind. Couldn't even catch up with us. But yeah,
Right.
we it was pretty good times though. I mean, they made that a variable back then, and yeah, I graduated out of it, but it was I came out buffed up, you know, looking good, man. I worked out in there,
Mhm.
and
Got
it
rescued.
was yeah, but it was quite a, you know, I know a little bit about what goes on, man. I mean, you know, we was in open dorms, man. We had the females come back in there. They get men be back. We'd all be taking a shower, man, in the back, and here comes the female officer just standing there, just observing everything
Right.
like it's no big deal. Yeah, it's crazy in there.
Yeah,
Unbelievable.
I was on the Clemens unit in 83. 83. Yeah, 83. And we had a building sergeant, and she was the first female to work inside the prison proper. They were working in the front office, you know, administrative, but not inside the prison proper. It was all men that were the correctional officers. So she was the first one at my unit as a sergeant. I've been in a bunch of firsts. There's a book, Texas Prisons, that you can get that was published, I think, in the early 80s. I read that book. You can go back to the index of all the people that are mentioned in the book. I personally know at least 6 people in that book. You know, that was written way back then. So what I did was when I was there, I went back and I learned the complete history of my entire surrounding circumstances, where I was at. And the Texas prison system at one time used to be 100% self sufficient. The only thing that we really got from outside sources was the USDA food program, which was the butter, the peanut butter, peanuts, you know, the cheese. Remember government cheese? And Damsky, you got to put it cereal over in my telegram. And you're probably number 7 if you can get over there, Ann. So yeah, they used to do everything. Now they trade their heads of beef straight to meat processing companies in return for hamburger meat that is 60-40, 60% beef, 40% soybean oil. And that's
It might be something else worse than that, probably too. We'll just keep it at
it
that.
is. Well, you know, we can get into my food service lawsuit where for what was that? it's either 90 days or 120 days. I went and ate every meal, wrote down exactly what serving utensils they were used for, how much, how the quantity of each serving of the 5 different food groups. Compared that to the master menu planning guide issued by the TDCJ Food Service Department, which is over the complete prison system. And then that gets broken down on the unit level. And then you have a unit menu planning guide, which lays out the meals for the full week. So I would take the master menu planning guide, the unit planning guide, and then the actual servings. So I did that for 90, 120 days. I had a free world book that told me exact amount of ounces, broke down all the nutrition. And to this day, dairy, fruit, and meat, all substandard. At the time, it was the food guide pyramid, and it changed right before I did the suit to it was myplate.com, where they changed it up a little bit. And now, of course, we know that that's completely inadequate, wrong, non-nutritious. So, yeah, they denied that shit too. So I fought for everything. I fought for, better housing conditions, better climate conditions, better food, meaningful access to courts, to where you didn't have to lug around all this legal material. Everybody uses a disc. You just a thumb drive, put it in a drive. TDCJ has Texas Correctional Industries. They have an industry called computer recovery. It's kind of a misnomer, but all the electronics from all the state government, hospitals, colleges, and universities that are no longer needed or scrapped or broken or whatever, it all goes to computer recovery. Computer recovery gets it in big semis on pallets. We break it all apart, sort it, keep the stuff that can be refurbished, take the stuff for scrap, put it on a pallet, sell it for scrap, et cetera, et cetera. So this goes from, scanners, printers, laptops, cell phones, everything. So what I did is utilize, because I worked there in Zone 5, which we unload the trucks and sort everything. And I was like, well, fuck, they have the A+ certification program here with Microsoft. They're doing the next advanced level where they learn how to all the TI or IT stuff. I was like, well, okay, why can't they build teams that go around and install these systems in the law library where I'll have a monitor, I have a keyboard, I'll have a disk drive that'll access an intranet, not internet, which will go through access to headquarters in Huntsville. That will be the main hub. It'll firewall. Every inmate will be able to automatically email every licensed, registered court official, whether they're an attorney, a court clerk, anywhere in the world. So there will be no more legal mail that you have to get a lay in, go deal with the mail room. You got paperwork, all that bullshit. Now it's all digital. So now they don't have all this legal work that they really can't search. They can thumb through it, but they can't read it. So it prevents all that. You don't have to order all these freaking law books like I drug around for everywhere. You have everything on your thumb drive. All your records are on thumb drives. Some of these guys, when they bring me a record, it's, fucking 12 inches thick. And you got to keep that shit in your locker. And you only have a 2 square foot locker. So the other, 1 square foot, everything else you own, your thermal underwear, tops and bottoms. Yeah. Sometimes they want your jacket in there too, if it's during the winter, plus your commissary, which, just imagine, you got 12 ramen soups, how much room that takes up. So you can see what, all the disparity and everything. But I fought for anything and everything. And this is how fucked up it really was. I'm fighting the food service so we can actually get some nutritious, healthy food. Okay. Because the milk they serve there is not even real milk. I don't know what it is. Some kind of chemical bullshit now, real waxy. The feral cats won't even drink it. You can put out a bowl and they freaking ignore it. They won't go near it. So I don't know what the fuck that shit is. So you're getting almost zero dairy. Um, I'd go through the chow line, you know, and this other guy, he don't know me. He's melanated. He thinks I'm just another white boy. And you know, when they're serving you, they're shaking the spoon instead of, you know, boom, boom, not my food. Here, take all you want. No, they want to like, oh, you can't have it. It belongs to the state. You get 4 ounces and that's it. You know, those kind of guys. And I'm over here getting down for them, and I don't get the gratitude back. And it got to a while where I was like, you know, why am I fighting for all these fuckers? Because they're going to appeal this case. The state's going to appeal it. It's going to drag on for 10 to 15, 12 years. I don't even think I'm going to be locked up that long. I'll probably make parole before then, hopefully, or I'll reverse my case. And so I'm not going to be out in the world fighting this case for these clowns that, you know, they wouldn't even give me any respect. Just give me state food that they don't even own. So yeah, it got real bad like that, and that's when I decided, you know, I'm not going to be the martyr. I'm not going to be the fall guy. I'm not going to be the one beaten up, and that's partly why I just, you know, I quit litigating. Once I did that meeting with the Travis County with the law librarian, I walked back to my cell, and I was just devastated. I mean, fucking, just I was beside myself. I couldn't understand what the hell just happened. I was mind fucked. And I opened up my locker. It's half full of legal work. And I reach in there and I got 1 ramen soup and almost no instant coffee left. And that's it. I got to buy ribbons. Okay. I got to buy ribbons off the street. I've got to buy more paper, more carbon paper, keep litigating. And I'm looking under my bunk and I've got 2 other lockers, 2 square foot lockers that I use as file cabinets. Both those are full of books, litigation, etc. And I'm like, I go, fuck, dude, this is insane. You can't continue to do this over and over and over, man. What are you going to do? It's like, you're going to stop. And I went through every fucking piece of paper I had. I pulled out everything that I needed to continue the case, to adjudicate it to a finality, whether it was a motion to dismiss, motion to withdraw, whatever. Everything else I tore up and I threw it in the trash. And that's when I stopped litigating. People would come up to me, hey, Floyd, can you do my case? Can you do my appeal? Can you do my writ of habeas corpus? You know, can you do this, do that? And it's like, hey, man, I don't litigate anymore. No, come on, man. Come on, Floyd. It's like, I need $3,500 cash up front, no questions asked. Give me the money. Then I'll look at your shit. That was it. I don't even want to look at it. I don't even want to hear your fucking story. If you don't have $3,500 to send to somebody for me, I don't even want to talk to you anymore. And that's when I stopped litigating. And that's what I was doing. And nobody ever took me up on my offer because, you know, nobody has $3,500. Sad story, huh? Yeah, it just on and on and on and on and on. It never stopped until I had to stop it. It's pitiful. There's just, yeah. I mean, I just, you know, and I can't change it by myself.
Did you ever get a winner yet, Floyd?
I did. Ann went over there and she won. She's the 7th serial. Congratulations, Ann. I will send you your stuff here in just a second. So thank you, everybody, for participating, hanging around on your Friday night and listening to me. I know, I go on and on. All right, enough of me, enough of my little prison antics. But it is my bona fides. It made me who I am. Just is what it is. You want to have something presentable Monday?
Yeah, I'd like to. Yeah, I'd like to do a show and hopefully have it. Maybe we can launch it on Monday.
Yeah, we can launch it 6 o'clock Monday.
Yeah. you got a lot of things. Just go through some of the stuff and let me know what you think and put it together, and let's start helping some people, getting some stuff put together for them.
All right. We'll work on it tomorrow. How much tonight we have left? We have some tonight. Oh, I keep forgetting you're an hour ahead of me.
That's all
Yeah.
right. I'm up to about 12. So
Okay.
yeah, you
All
can
right.
call me. Just you got anything we might want to add or take from, or just let me know.
Okay. Yeah.
But
Let
I
me.
don't know what's going on. It's pitch dark out here, man. I have not seen it this dark like this. It's pitch dark. Strange. I'm a star guy. I set out at night and watch the stars and the moons, but I don't see what I did when I was up there in Rainier, though. It's a little bit different.
Yeah. Well, it depends on where you're at too. Whether you're in the city
Absolutely.
around a lot of lights.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. Well, man, anything else you want to add before we roll this town up and say sayonara?
Well, just like to tell everybody, get ready because the change is coming quickly. Boom, 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 boom. It might take a few of them boom, 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 booms before the change, but it's up on us. I got some stuff I've been holding back a little bit, Floyd.
Okay.
We're waiting till you can get on that other channel.
We didn't even get on the topic of med beds.
No,
That's what
we
we were
didn't.
supposed to be talking about. No. So, sorry, folks. Oops. We'll talk about that Monday. So stay tuned. I don't know if you know, Sky Prince was on Super Soldier Talk talking about med beds. I thought that was kind of humorous myself.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, all that stuff's real, but you better weigh it out.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
All
a
right, my
lot of
brother.
this stuff, Freud. It's alien technology. Let's just leave it at that. A lot of this is.
Uh,
It,
a lot of
it is.
everything. Yeah, y'all be
It's alien
surprised how
technology.
much. Yeah, how much alien technology is right around you right now. Right
Exactly. Exactly.
now. Yeah,
But I
they
mean, I have to kind of wonder. Maybe some of us might not be aliens ourselves. I don't know. It's just a strange world to me, man. I'll tell you
yeah,
what.
yeah,
Oh man, but that's what makes life interesting. When you meet characters of all types, and you can, man, it keeps life interesting. You
it
know.
does. Absolutely. All right, my brother. Well, be safe. I'll talk to you
Oh,
here in a minute, and we'll definitely get together
oh,
tomorrow
okay.
and do
All
our
righty.
thing. Sunday, we're going to the beach, right?
Ah, yep. I'm going for sure.
Okay.
Well, if the sun's out and it's a beautiful day, let's put it that way.
Yeah, we're going to the Gulf of
If it
America,
right.
folks.
Oh wow.
Not necessarily the same beach, but we're going to the Gulf of America.
Gulf of America. Gulf of
Yeah,
America. Yeah.
Gulf of America. All right, brother.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here.
Okay. Okay. No problem. All right.
There you go, Raymond Lee, everybody. Thank you for being here. I really do appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you for listening to me and putting up with me. I hope I educated you a little bit about, what the hell's really going on, giving you facts. They're my stories, but I always can back up everything I say with documentation, time and time again, show you guys for facts, all the stuff that I've been through over and over and over again. And, I just feel very fortunate to be in the position that I am, to have all this knowledge and be able to share it with you and give you guidance, life guidance, regardless of how it applies to you and however you decide to apply it to your own life. I don't know where this thing's going as far as the RV. I don't know when it's going to happen. I don't even know what the rates are. Really don't even give a crap anymore. I'm at the point, and I think a lot of people are, that they're very frustrated, aggravated. Some at the point of no return. Some have given up. I even see people, XRP, just, same thing. They're just, everybody feels that they're stagnated. Nothing's growing, nothing's advancing. It just, it's the roller coaster, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, this date, that date, this event, that event. And just how long can that go on? A new little kink that I seen thrown in the game, and is all the wars have to stop before we can RV. Well, I never read that in the rule book. I never saw that anywhere until recently. It's like people are just making shit up to throw rocks in the road. So as you kick the can, it just doesn't quite get down the road. There's a rock in the way. Oh, it's this, it's that. And that's why I just quit listening to people. I quit paying attention, I used to have people that would email me that stuff all the time, every little thing, every little article, every video, this and that, this and that. And, most of these people, God bless them, you can go listen to them 3 weeks ago, and they're basically saying the same shit today as they did 3 weeks ago. It's really nothing new. It's just the same blah, 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 blah. And look, yeah, I would like to have some type of foretelling that, hey, this July, you're going to be able to go, cash in on Aunt Ethel. Awesome. Can't wait. But I'm going to have to. But otherwise, we ride this roller coaster. So everybody should just be prepared as much as possible, whatever that looks like for you. I don't know everybody's finances. That's why I'm trying to give away these books to many people. If you need it, you're going to enter, you're going to play. Thank God I'm just fortunate enough to be in this position to be able to utilize that graciousness, that gratuity, that humbleness, to be able to give that to you. So everybody, if I don't see you tomorrow night or Monday, tomorrow, Saturday, Monday at 6 Central, I'll be back on with Raymond as well. We're going to work on the trust, get everything finalized. Hopefully I'll have it uploaded to my website or something that you can actually go visit and read and check out. And there's a lot to it. When he was telling, break this down for me a la carte. And I'm like, I don't know, 10, 12 documents in. I was like, man, there's a whole bunch of them. I better make sure exactly what he wants. So I'm not, we're not double working. So that's what we're working on, is collating everything in what, because I build trust for people, but I don't do the other end of it. I don't do the back end. I don't babysit and hold their hand and go, okay, you need to do this. Anne's always done that in all the Telegram trust classes. She's held the hands, answered the questions, done all that stuff. So he knows more about what people need, what they want, because he set up the trust. He's done the consultations. He's walked them through the EINs, the bank accounts, and setting everything up on that end. So that's why I was like, let me check. So we're working on it. We're going to get it together for you, and we're going to make it as affordable as possible. But we still have to retain value, because if it's just like some smoking ass deal, people are like, So that's what we're looking for. Everybody have a safe and happy weekend. Be careful, be safe. Let's see you on Monday, and enjoy your weekend. If you're in Houston, Texas, and you're going to Crystal Beach, the Bolivar Peninsula, for Jeep weekend, probably you shouldn't. So I'm going to the beach, but I'm going way away from there. You can bet your ass on that. So thank you, everybody. Good night. And 6-minute outro coming in. So if you want to bail, bail. Thank you for hanging around to watch this special promo on the new book, by Ann LaFleur and Fearless Floyd, Specialty Trusts. We'll dive right in. There's the cover to the On Trust books. That's the first book that Ann wrote. This is the third edition on revocable, irrevocable, foreign, charitable, remainder, express, college education, and land trusts. It has instructions, templates, examples, everything you need in this trust or in this book to run these 7 different trusts. Everything you need. Here's the table of contents. And please disregard the error bookmark, not defined, notices on the right hand of the screen. There is a lot of redundancy in this book simply because the simplicity of how it was adopted from the classes. So you're going to see, a trustee appointment letter in every one of the trusts when you just really need one and just change the information. Here we go. This is a specialty trust cover. And here are all the trusts that are available in this book. How to create and operate specialty trust, full instructions, templates, and examples to create and operate. A Q-tip, a qualified terminal interest property trust, qualified personal residence trust, irrevocable life insurance trust, third-party special needs trust, community property trust, asset protection trust, discretionary trust, ministry trust, decedent trust, charitable trust, special needs trust, perpetual family trust, testamentary discretionary trust, grantor retained annuity trust, irrevocable farm trust, pets trust, AB trust, and marital trust, as well as the bonus DNA trust addendum. Here is the table of contents. And again, please disregard the error bookmark at not defined. And here we go with the DNA trust. Wanted to show you guys a little bit of this. That's the first 3 pages right there. This is the bonus. You can add this to any one of the trusts. Doesn't matter whether it's a revocable, irrevocable, foreign, express, pets trust, same thing. If you'd like to get one of the books or a combination or a package, the ebooks are available for $249 each, and that's either the On Trust or Specialty Trust books. If you'd like a soft cover, they are $259. I do have package deals available at thefearlessfloydshow.com/store on my website. If you'd like to do an a la carte package deal that I don't have available and you want to put something together, hit me up, thefearlessfloydshow@yahoo.com. I mainly hang out over on Telegram, so come hit me up over there. These 2 books are probably the only books you will ever need if you ever want to operate in trust, and everybody should at least research it and see if it's right for you and your family. Thank you for watching, everybody. I appreciate it. And I'll see you at the next show.